good evening and welcome back for the last time this week to In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral, your glorious Goodwood preview show. And like I said, it has been a pretty glorious day today. My name is Ross Brierley and we'll be having a little bit of a look back, as ever, on Friday's action and then getting stuck in to a typically tricky final day of cards on the Downs. And like I said, what a glorious day it was today. We saw a couple of absolute possible superstars. And again, the three-year-olds taking centre stage once again, with Baid bolting up, seemingly having gears that the other runners in that race could only dream of. And Suesa taking the King George in a pretty fantastic style to lower the colours of Dragon Symbol, and of course Batash, who faded out of contention once again. But we had a lot more besides as well. Jim Crowley on the double this afternoon, which will surely cheer our sponsors. We'll hear about that, I'm sure, in a little bit of time. And plenty which was besides. Richard Hughes training a winner as well at a track that he used to love riding at, and some impressive performances, including another win for wink of an eye in the finale, and a wide margin winner of the nursery for Tom Dascombe, who could well be up in class next time out. This is live and interactive, of course, so get in touch and let us know your thoughts and feelings and your fancies and your comments on that YouTube stream. Like and subscribe and stick with us, because we will be back throughout the year for the big festivals. And we also have a bit of an offer for you tonight. If you want to subscribe to the Members Club, you'll get 20% off if you use the code GOODYEAR, which surely must be tongue-in-cheek because, well, it hasn't been, has it? But there you go. Why not cheer yourself up with a bit of money off the Members Club? Let's have a look then at what we've got for tomorrow and look back at today's action in the company, once again, of some fine judges. To my left is the one and only Mr. Paul Keeley, who said to me yesterday it's much better to back the winner of the last than the first. Unfortunately, he did the opposite today.
Yeah, absolutely. I've started the day really happy. Yes, I've had one, got it straight in the bag, and it's you sort of deflating one race after the other after that. Especially last race when your horse is 9-2, 10 minutes before the off, and there's 14-1. But yeah, by the time it goes off and pulls up,
the saver that we had on the one that I fancied gets stopped 4 times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I had a little saver on your one and got stopped a million times. You've had almost every bit of bad luck here this week, haven't you? So
that's Goodwood, though, isn't it?
I shouldn't moan too much, but no, it was a great day's racing. That Baid does look something special, doesn't he? I mean, wherever he goes next, it's going to be a Group 1, and whatever he runs against is probably going to be fav. I mean, you've got a 5-2 quote for the QE2 straight afterwards, and that's in September. He hasn't even run outside Group 3 company, but he just looks so fast, doesn't he?
He does. He looks an absolute monster this afternoon. What early thoughts about tomorrow's card?
Well, early thoughts about the race in tomorrow's cars, and what are the jockeys going to do in the 2 big sprints, the Stewards Cup being the big one, obviously, because we saw today, we've seen all week that the stand side has been favoured. Yeah, they shunned it in both sprints, only for the winners to end up coming back round towards the stand side. In fact, in the nursery, the first 3 home were closest to the stand side when they went past the post. I don't know what they were on about, what they were thinking of. The middle hasn't been the place to be all week. Will they ride to their draw? Will it split into 2? Will they all decide to come down the middle? Just
why not?
Who knows?
Yeah, let's get 5 groups. What's the most groups we could possibly get?
Well, yeah, exactly. We just don't know, do you? No. But we can discuss that when it comes to the previews. But it's just mind-boggling sometimes.
Yeah, and they definitely will at least split into 2 groups. So you've got the joy of being beaten by something on the other side, possibly.
Absolutely, yeah. It happened to be twice at Ascot. It happened to be in the Stewards Cup last year because I backed Kimmy 5 and he got chinned right on the line by Summergan.
Yeah, of course, Kimmy 5, who returns tomorrow, but in the consolation race this time around. So again, it's just classic Goodwood racing, isn't it? It's just bad luck, left, right, and centre. And you've just got to put up with it and move on, unfortunately. But that's how it works. Tom Segal is at home. How's your luck been today, Tom? Bad luck, good luck, no luck at all?
I made a pact at the start of the week to be quite conservative about my betting at Goodwood. So, like Keels, I got the first one home and I didn't give it all back, put it like that. Didn't have too many tips. Like Keels, I had a few quid on a massive drifter. I backed Ebles by day at 16-1 in the Glorious Stakes, and Mogul came out and it was 20-1. So the favourite came out and it was a bigger price without the favourite. So that tells you what a good judge I am. But apart from that, yeah, it was fine. It was in fine. I enjoyed it. As you say, there were 2 good horses. I think Suesa was really impressive, wasn't she? I thought she ran away. But one point I've got to make: the ground today was supposed to be faster than it was on Wednesday, and yet Armour still ran a faster time than Suesa did to win the King George. So either Armour is a wonder horse, which he could be. He definitely could be. I think he's been the most impressive 2-year-old winner of the week all week. Or the ground was much softer than they were giving out today. I think it's a bit of both. I thought it looked as though it was quite soft today. And I've just been watching the telly there, and they were doing their roundup from the course, and it was still raining. So I'm a little bit worried that it might be. I've gone for a fast ground or a decent ground horse in one of the races tomorrow, and I fear that it might be softer than I was expecting.
Yeah, and of course the Saturday Royal Ascot, just similar vibes to the Ascot week, isn't it? Been this week with ground conditions and obviously luck and various bits and bobs like that. But these 5-day festivals, Tom, you spend half the time working out draws and jockeys and that, and this, that, and the other. But I'm going to throw your own words back at you, Tom. Just find the fastest horse.
Correct. But the problem is, if the jockeys decide to go in the swamp down the middle, it doesn't matter how fast you are. I just hope that in the Stewards Cup, the low numbers go to the far side and the high numbers go to the near side. That's what used to happen in these races. No one used to go down the middle in these races. But now, I just have, like Keels, I have no idea what Roisin Murphy, for example, was doing on Dragon Symbol. He's drawn 12 and he ends up on the far side. Just makes absolutely no logical sense to me. But, they're the one that gets paid the money. Let them get on with it.
Yeah, and to be fair, Tom, this is a bit easier, what we're doing right now, than being a jockey.
Yeah, I'm not convinced by that. I consider myself...
How many times have you fallen out of that chair?
The O-levels as Roisin Murphy got.
No, that's fair. I mean, I have broken my collarbone 3 times.
I'd rather not talk about O-levels, to be fair, Tom.
But of course, Paul and Tom will be tipping winners, hopefully, for the final day of Goodwood. Jim Crowley on the double, though, which has put a smile on Simon Clare's face. Not to mention Sandown form. I mean, all the things we were ribbing about you last night, Simon, have come very much to the fore on day 4.
They have, and it's not far off a treble. Jadlan ran really well, but 2 good winners. Maidani, obviously, presumably the ground can't have been too bad, because they do think he wants a better surface than a softer surface, and he won well and upheld that Coral Challenge form. We saw a star born maybe in Baid. He looked fantastic. The boys have already talked about him. It'd be interesting what route they take. If I'd be sort of tempted maybe to go Celebration Mile Group 2 and then QE2 Group 1 but they've got the Mulan option, obviously, and maybe even the Jack the Marois. So that's exciting. But maybe the last time we've seen Batash. So on the one hand, we saw this exciting new Shadwell horse, Baid. And on the other hand, maybe it was the last time. I think the Angus Gold seemed to insinuate there'll be a decision made, and that probably will be the end for Batash after a great career. And so to go out as a 7-year-old having won all the big Group 1s, and obviously that King George 4 times is pretty special. So it was a good day, interesting day. 4 favourites. The last 3 favourites won. So I think there'll be plenty of punters who won money today.
Batash bows out with 13 wins, £1.7 million in prize money, but only 4 Group 1s, which seems quite a bit of a surprise for me.
Yeah, it feels like there should be more, shouldn't there? I mean, it is one of the festivals with not. Batash.
Batash, yeah.
Batash, 4 Group 1s. Yeah,
It feels like it should have been 4
Yeah,
years
I mean,
before.
he has blown out several times in the big races, hasn't he? But I mean, he's won. He's won 2 Nunthorpes. He's won an Abbey. He's won a King's Stand. So you can't really knock him too much.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I'm not knocking him. I'm not saying he's a terrible horse. I just assumed that there would. I was just looking back just to check how many there were, and in my head there were more top class days for him. But anyway, hopefully he is fine and well. Just a quick reflection on the week as a whole, Paul. Have you had anything that's particularly going to stand out, or you want to take away from Goodwood going forward?
No, not really. No. I mean, obviously, you're looking forward to the horses that have made a real big impression. You'd love to see Baid going against Alcohol Free and Poetic Flair and Paris Pier and the likes. You'd love to see that happen. As for going ahead, I mean, it was funny ground, wasn't it? Who's to say we won't get absolutely bottomless ground at York as well? But it'd be nice to get some fast ground at a festival, wouldn't it? Well, it doesn't take an awful lot to turn the Knavesmire into a mile, does it? You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Tom, what about you? Anything this week? Obviously, you mentioned Nagano the other day, possible group contender, and Armour with a scintillating time.
Yeah, I loved Armour. I thought he was really, really impressive. I think Baid was the standout horse. Interesting, because we had this discussion, didn't we, about Mohar Fest? Same owner, same trainer, same jockey, dropping back to a mile. I don't know what they're going to do with him now, because he won't beat Baid over a mile. I presume they'll stick with the plan and stick at a mile and a quarter with him, but I think he's a mile or two. So maybe they got one for fast ground and one for good and softer ground in Baid. But I was very impressed with him. I think he'll beat the rest of them. I think he'll beat Alcohol Free and Palace Beer, and I don't think he'll be close, truth be told.
No, but hopefully they do turn up, because the QE2 could be an absolute blinder if they all the milers from various sexes and age groups turn up to have a crack, which is what Champions Day should be about. But whether it is about that remains to be seen, because, of course, the ground is always pretty desperate. One last day, then, for glorious Goodwood, and let's crack on and get started with a wide-open handicap to kick off proceedings on the Saturday afternoon. Starting a little bit earlier, of course, tomorrow as well. 1:20 the first race, 7 furlongs the distance, and we have a significant non-runner here. It's been a good week for the Godolphin team, but Quintillis does not go here in the opener, which leaves Spirit of Bermuda at the top of the betting at 7-2. Master Zoffany 5-1, Dark Shift is 6s, Farazi Lane 13-2, Udalali and Just Frank 7s, Run to Freedom 8-1, and bigger prices the rest for this opener then at Goodwood, with 10 of them left in. And this looks an absolute cracker. We've got 7 furlong specialists all over the shop. Spirit of Bermuda, Master Zoffany, Farazi Lane. You've got Dark Shift stepping up in trip as well. Has been running good sprint handicaps. Every single horse on that betting, Paul, has a recent run that gives it every chance.
Yeah, I mean, 3-year-old handicappers at a summer festival, you'd hope there'd be a few that were better than their mark, wouldn't you? Guess what's in the forecast tomorrow at first, though?
Let's have a think. Could it be rain?
Thunderstorms.
Nice. Love a good thunderstorm. We haven't had enough of them
Well, in the
recently.
Met Office, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Potential of, all 60%. So
They just copied and pasted that from
yeah,
yesterday.
they do, don't they? Yeah. So who knows? Could be bottomless. It could be dry. But that's what we got. I like Master Zoffany in the first a fair bit. He's won 2 of his 4 starts this season. Both of those at Chester, where he came from the back. And I like, if a horse is nimble enough to come from the back at Chester, then I don't think he'll have problems squeezing through a gap if he needs to here. He's got stall 1 as well. I think he definitely wants soft ground. His one heavy defeat between those 2 Chester wins came out in the Silver Bowl at Haydock, which was a fair race anyway, but it was on heavy ground. It was over a mile, and he actually cruised through the race.
He does have an incredible cruising
he's
speed.
got a real good cruising speed. So I think this course is absolutely going to suit him. As and whether they go really hard or not, he's got a bit of a change of gear. So I make him the one to beat. Obviously, Spirit of Bermuda is very talented when she deigns to race, but she's got that in her as well. She's refused once recently, so
She could just Hubert it.
yes, exactly. Not come out of the stalls and you've done your money. So I would have made Master Zoffany favourite. The other one that I half like was Farazi Lane, but we'll leave Simon to tell us why that is going to win.
Of course, Farazi Lane, a winner on Coral Eclipse today, and those races are working out pretty well. Farazi Lane is a 13-2 shot, but Master Zoffany then for Paul at 5-1. But again, 10 runners here, Tom. Plenty in with chances. What did you like in this 7 furlong opener?
Keel stole all my lines. Keels, I was going to do the Farazi Lane line. I was just bringing it up, and you spoilt it. I quite like Masters Zoffany too, if he gets a run. I'm not the greatest Paul Hannigan fan, and so stall 1, I could see him getting in all sorts of trouble there. But if he gets a clear run, I think he has, as Keel says, he travels well. The other one I like, Just Frank, the horse he beat at Chester. I just thought that if it got very soft there, first time cheap pieces, I just like that horse. There's not much difference in the weights. He's a bit better off in the weights, Just Frank. I think 7 furlong suits him well. If he could get an easy lead out the front, I thought he'd go well too, because I think the softer the ground, the better for him. He was really impressive at Doncaster last back end, and when he won that auction race at Newmarket by about 5 million miles, I just thought he looked like a horse that would, to keep backing us on the soft ground. He's taken a bit of time to come to his form, but he ran well at Chester, and he ran well at Doncaster on fast ground last time. Second in the listed race at Doncaster last back end. I think if it gets soft, I think he'll run really well in the first time cheap pieces. So it would be him and saving on Keels' horse, Mr. Zoffany.
Yeah, just Frank again. It's a bit of a cliche, isn't it, Tom? But different yard, and you might get a bit more credit. And I've got to give a shout out as well to Daniel Muscat. We're talking about jockeys, and you can be a bit negative about a few of them at Goodwood. Of course, it does highlight those bad decisions in races. But Daniel Muscat this year has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, very good. Right at the top of my list. One of the jockeys I would definitely give a highlighter pen to when I print out my cards. He'd probably get the lime green highlighter. That lad, which is the best one, by the way.
I kind of want to move on, but I also want to dig into that. How many highlighters are there, Tom?
Well, there's orange and there's that horrible pinky one. They're the ones they're the ones that I will not ever tip. So they get Jim Crowley. Oh no, can't say Jim Crowley. Sorry, Si.
Do you not ruin your laptop with all the highlighters, Tom?
I print out. I'm still old-fashioned, you see. I'm 50. I print out cards. I like seeing them on form so I can scribble stuff down on them.
No, I think it's a great idea. Any other horses to mention in here that have chances? Run to Freedom, I thought was a little bit interesting. He shapes like a sprinter, but obviously Goodwood is significantly quicker than Sandown over 7. And also Udalali as well, who's Ross Brierley form, of course, looks very, very good. And he was out of his depth last time, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was out. He was out of his depth last time. Yeah, he's got some interesting form, and obviously the softer the ground gets, the better it will be for him as well, I think.
Yeah. Okay, Simon, over to you. We've name dropped you a few times without putting you up on the screen. So this is your chance to come back at the darts that have been thrown.
Not at all. There isn't a Jim Crowley ride in this race. I can't mention him, and I'm not entirely sure there's a huge amount of Coral Eclipse Day form. Is there? I haven't studied it close enough.
Have you? Farazi Lane.
Farazi Lane.
Oh, Farazi Lane. That's the one. God, Farazi Lane. I focused
and Run to Freedom. You've got two in here.
Honestly, what have I been doing all day? The horse I thought Udalali was really interesting. I thought Andrew Baldwin's horse will run well this week, and he's in good form. And that form with Ross Brierley looks strong. He was drawn high at Chester, as I say, was a listed race, and he's been in really good form before that. I thought he was the one I'd probably look to back. I mean, Master Zoffany, I spoke to the boys in the office. They like him a lot. They think he's really solid, drawn 1, an improver. But I think Spirit of Bermuda will be well backed. You know, he's bidding for a hat trick. William Haggis. Popular with the punters, and I'm sure he'll be popular with the best in tomorrow. But Udalali for me.
Yeah, I agree. Udalali, yeah, that's just really good form. That Newcastle form. Sunset Breeze, of course, ran a cracker the other day in that big handicap, and down in 5th was Bashir, who won very nicely at Doncaster to frank the form. So wide open opener at Goodwood as ever for Saturday afternoon. Paul, just reiterates what you've said.
Yeah, Masters Zoffany to get us off to a flyer. Hopefully, I'll get 1 or 2 more after that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's start with the winner and hopefully end with the winner as well. Master Zoffany is currently a 5-1 shot. Tom?
Just Frank. I'll take a chance on him.
Okay, just Frank it is. And Simon, me and you rowing in with Udalali.
Udalali. That's our horse.
Yeah, so it's a good name to shout home as well, isn't it? Udalali at 7-1. Okay, that's the opener at Goodwood, then the 127 furlong handicap. But we are down a furlong and... we are trebling the amount of runners here for the Stewards Sprint, the consolation race, of course, for the Stewards Cup. But don't get any wrong ideas about this being any easier to win. It is predictably very difficult. First Folio is top of the betting here at 5-1. Royal Scimitar is 7-1. Music Society 8s with Power Over Me. 10-1 Bickerstaff. 14-1 Mr. Wagyu. 16-1 Treacherous and Kimmy 5. And then bigger prices. The rest is 28 of them lining up here. Tom. I know this is Paul's kind of race, but I'm going to come to you first because we're talking about jockeys and draws and splits. But one of the key things that we probably don't mention enough is where is the pace in this race?
Oh, don't ask me that question, Ross. I don't
know. Where's the pace in the race, Paul?
I had this written down, and I now can't remember. I think they're going to split, though. I do think they're going to. I do think they'll split. So, yeah, I did have this written down and I've completely forgotten. I am hoping.
We've got Power Over Me, haven't we, in 12?
Power Over Me is obviously one of the most interesting horses because he's £7 well in. And the other one, and he's in the middle. And we've got the Well In Music Society, who is £8 well in, running off 82 of them in second twice, including the Venturous last week. Not sure about him if the ground gets really soft. And of course, we've got First Folio, who's favourite and would have been favourite for the Stewards Cup himself. Like, you know what I mean? And he's top of the weights. He's drawn stall 6. I would say, talking about the Stewards Cup later, do not get too bogged down in what happens in this race because in a couple of times in recent years, the consolation race winner has come out of stall. Of low stalls, and then the winner of the Stewards Cup has come out in the mid-20s. Because,
I mean, again, the pace you can see after about a furlong how that's...
the pace is most important, yeah.
So we've got Mr. Wagyu, I think.
I really think that, guys. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but every time I think that there's a pace one side. It happens to be on the other side. I mean, I think it's really, really hard to read.
It is really hard to read pre-race, though, but you do think after. Do you not sometimes look at a race afterwards?
I think if you go too fast on one side, the other side, I think it's going an even pace. What it's like. Watch the 800 meters at the Olympics. If you go 51 seconds for the first 400, you finish last.
Yeah.
If you go 54 seconds, you're gonna run faster. So I don't know, and I'm not certain about this pace thing. I as I say, I get it wrong every time I do it. So as soon as I think there's a pace on one side, it happens to be, the even pace is on the other side. So I'm quite happy just to leave it, as you say, and just hope for the best, or back one each side. That's what I think is always the option.
Okay, well, throw us a couple then, Tom.
Well, that is the tricky part. I think this. I mean, I think this race. Sometimes when you get these consolation races, you actually get the best horses in the consolation race because they're not well enough handicapped. They haven't shown their hand yet to get into the main race. And I think in this case, that is undoubtedly the case. I think if there's group horses in here, there'll be the 3-year-olds that are running in the consolation race because none of them could get into the stewards. We saw at Ascot, the 1 3-year-old got in Rohan, he won. We see it time and time again that the unexposed 3-year-olds have a very good chance in these big handicaps. So I'm going to side with a couple. First Folio is obviously one that could be it. Just slightly worried that his very fast ground at York, it was on the soft side when he sort of blew out at Newmarket. I think there were excuses for him that day. He sort of missed the break and got upset at the start. So the ground might be fine for him, and he is by Dark Angel. But he's out of a Shamadal mare, so he could be better on fast ground. I prefer Bickerstaff would be my first choice, provided Clifford Lee stays to his draw and keeps coming up the stands rail in trap 26. I really liked him at Ascot last time. I know he was drawn on this side on his own, but he powered clear, and Carl Burke was really, really positive about him afterwards. He was talking about Air Gold Cups and races like that. So he'd be my number one choice. The other one is Royal Scimitar, who's drawn on the other side in stall 5. He was just a massive eye catcher in the Newmarket race won by
Blackrod.
Blackrod, yeah. That's it. Where he was might beat his side, beat the horses drawn high by miles. The horse that was second to him, about 3 lengths behind, was When the Dealing's Done. We won a handicap here very easily earlier in the week. He's got to be well handicapped on that. The problem with him is that I don't know if he's going to act on the ground. His pedigree suggests it should be all right, but he was pulled out. Clive Cox pulled him out of a race on soft ground not that long ago. So I'm hoping he acts on the ground. And they would be my two. I think the 3-year-olds have got great chance in this, so I'd go for Bickerstaff and Royal Scimitar.
Okay, yeah, behind When the Dealing's Done, but also Jadwal as well was on that side, and he ran an absolute cracker earlier on. So what have you got for us, Mr.
Well, I've been all over Bickerstaff as well. When he won at fast ground at Pontefract earlier in the season, Carl Burke said he was on the brink of pulling him out because that's not what he wants, and he said he definitely wants a bit of cut, and he thought given the right conditions he might end up better than the handicapper. So he's running in here off a mark of 90, having sluiced up on easy ground at Ascot. He was nearly 5 lengths behind First Folio at York, but the ground he got at Ascot, the strong pace will suit him, and the more those thunderstorms deliver, the better his chance will be. So I do like him. I just put in a word for a horse I backed in that Newmarket race won by Blackrod, Abduction, who was actually backed at fairly long odds. It all happened a bit too quick for him on the fast ground. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't handle fast ground because he was ahead second to Music Society before that in June. But I think he might need more of a test at the trip. And while this is a fairly quick 6 furlongs, soft ground will help on that score. And he was 5th of 20 in a decent Nace Maiden last year on soft ground. And it might just suit him a little bit better. So he might go well at a price, but I'm all over Bickerstaff. If it's the softer it is, the more I fancy him beating First Folio.
Okay, there we go then. Bickerstaff is a 10-1 shot here. Simon, a few things. I'll come to you in a second. Actually, a couple of social comments. Carl Wilkes likes the look of Mamilius in the 155 at a big price. I think it's got a great chance each way. Yeah, Mamilius loves a quirky track, that's for sure. And of course, he was awarded the race behind Power Over Me last time out. And Jesus is back in touch. He can't keep a good man down. Music Society bolts. At the start or up?
On the way to the start?
On the way to the start, hopefully.
Out of the stall?
Yeah, that's be more specific there, Jesus. But yeah,
Put
Music
more effort
Society. As Cam Hardy back on board. Music Society, and very unlucky last couple of starts. Simon, a couple of things for you. One, how many places? And two, I've got a sneaky fancy for a huge prize for the very quirky Open Wide.
Interesting. We're playing 6 places, first and foremost. Jesus has tipped Music Society. I quite like. He's run 10 times already this season. Ultra consistent. Deserves to get his head in front. He's been one of the horses quite well back. The other Royal Scimitar, that very unexposed Clive Cox horse, he's shortened already the last hour or so, as has Bickerstaff. The guy who tweeted in, Mamilius, of course, is ridden by Jim Crowley. A horse been doing all his winning at Brighton and Epsom. He's a 33-1 chance. And what is the horse you like?
Open Wide.
Open Wide. Let's have a quick look. God, it's way down here.
That's what I like to hear.
Well, 22-1. Amanda Perrett, Safi Osborne. Drawn 3.
He was second in the Stewards Cup one year. I know. I backed him. He was second to that good thing of Charlie Hill's, the 3-year-old.
To Cardem. Yeah. Well, I just think he's very interesting. He's very well handicapped. Yeah, he hasn't been off a mark as low as this in 3 years Open Wide. He loves the track. What I thought was interesting, he's a very quirky horse. And he's won 5 times. 4 of those have been when changing the jockey and changing the headgear. So he clearly needs something to liven him up. And I empathise with that. I really do. And he's down to 89. They've popped the blinkers back on. They've got Safi Osborne on. And I do think potentially the best horses might be drawn low. So he's over there with Music Society, First Folio and Royal Scimitar. So I thought with 6 places he could be overpriced for the Stewards Sprint.
One final thing, Ross. As a man that's been called by his wrong name all his life, Tom Segal.
Yeah.
I think we're giving Jesus a bit of a raw deal when I went to a Catholic school. They never called him Jesus Christ when I was growing up.
I think it's because he tipped Spanish Mission this week that in my head.
I see.
I'm thinking of Jesus.
I see. I missed one of your fantastic puns. Clearly.
That's it. Yeah, you get one a show, Tom. So if you miss it, I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, we should move on because we're having a very leisurely pace here. What wins this?
On 2 races.
Yeah, it's fine, isn't it?
That's a plan deal.
Bickerstaff.
Bickerstaff it is. Tom?
Bickerstaff for me and Royal Scimitar.
Okay, I'll go for Open Wide to finish in the frame. And Simon?
I'm going to go Music Society as my low number horse and Mamilius as my high number horse.
Okay, there we go. Just looking through the window just to see if the producers do think it's fine. I'm taking my time with these races. And their faces suggest otherwise. So let's move on to Goodwood's 2:30 then. The Summer Handicap, a mile and 6 furlongs the distance here. And again, very tricky stuff. My Frankel 13-2. Nuit Saint George is 7-1 with Prince Alex. 15-2 Ade. 9-1 Future Investment and Urban Artist and On to Victory. 10-1 Win O'Clock. And bigger prices the rest then for this 2:30 at Goodwood. Very different again from that last race up to a mile and 6 furlongs. And we'll hand it over to the man who loves a handicap punt. Paul Keeley, what do you like?
I've backed 2. I think they got some form together because On to Victory beat Rhythmic Intent in the November handicap last year, and they're both running the race. I fancy both to run a big race. On to Victory's run once this season, was second here to Hookham, and that form could hardly have worked out much better. Hookham second in the Hardwick, won a Group 3 at York and beat Outbox, who was 4th in the Goodwood race, having won a listed race between those two as well. So I mean that's just red hot form. On to Victory, Outbox I think has gone up £6 since then, and that was obviously a group race, but On to Victory stayed on a mark of 104 for that run, which I think is very generous. And Rhythmic Intent bounced back to form last time with a second to Macram on Coral Eclipse Day. And Macram, for one, looked going into the race like he was a seriously well handicapped horse. And 2, the 1 mile 2 furlong trip was way short of Rhythmic Intent's best. He won over a mile and 5.5 at Newbury last season and followed it with a 4th at Yukon Glen, when Yukon Glen was only rated about 100 in the Old Borough Cup over a mile and 6. So back up to his trip, any rain that comes down will suit the pair of them. And I think 1 or 2 of them, I think both will go well. I mean, obviously there are some interesting horses, but we've got My Frankel as favourite, and he's a loon. We don't know what he's going to do we? Because he can lose it completely.
Yeah.
He can race very keenly. Richard Kingscote, I think it was, who rode him last time at Haydock, got a really good tune out of him.
And fast ground wins, Kempton wins. I know it was soft ground last time out, but he's yet to prove he can actually go through and do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more important with him is that he settles and behaves himself, because he can can be a bit of a nut. But yeah, I like those two against some solid handicappers rather than maybe a couple of that are a bit shorter and a bit younger that are less exposed.
Okay, a couple against the field then for Paul. Tom, talk to us about this. 13-2 the field here. What's going to outstay the rest?
Well, I'm on, believe it or not, and you probably will, I'm on exactly the same two as Keels. I thought the November handicap form was the key to this race because back in third that day was Nuit Saint-Georges. The pair of them beat Nuit Saint-Georges quite comfortably. They're both better off at the weights. The more rain that falls, the better for both of them. I think Nuit Saint-Georges is nearly favourite for this race, and I can't see any reason why both of them won't beat him again. Same reason as Keels, and I didn't really like many of the others, to be honest. I thought Hotfeld would want faster ground. Keels has explained about My Frankel. A Day was quite interesting, but trip and ground would be interesting. And the big danger was perhaps Urban Artist, who Oisin Murphy looks to have got off Rhythmic Intent to ride, but I think his granny owns Urban Artist, so that's probably the reason why. But I'm just worried that whether she'll quite get home. She was outstayed a couple of times over this trip. I know she's a bumper winner and got some good form in bumpers over 2 miles, but just in a properly good flat race over 1.6 miles, I was worried about her. So for me, it is definitely the top one on to victory, would be my first choice, especially if it keeps raining. And Rhythmic Intent, who ran very well in the Coral Eclipse Day and is ridden by Jim Crowley. How about that, Simon?
There you go. That's lovely stuff. That's what you want to hear, Simon. That's what you want to hear. We'll come to you in a second about where the money has come from Goodwood. But one horse we haven't mentioned, I thought I had a chance, was Prince Alex, who sneaks in off a nice weight. Looked very progressive. Got beaten by Nuit Saint-Georges, but looked like he was going to beat him, but got intimidated, got stuck down the rail. And I do think that kind of cost him the race late on. Fast ground at Newmarket last time. That was never going to help. But of course, the winner that day is Tom's tip for the E-Ball, Live Your Dream. So he might well, in hindsight, be facing a very stiff task indeed. So there's a few for you, Simon. What have we got here? Price boosts, extra places?
We're paying 4 places on this race. I had picked out Rhythmic Intent to mention. Obviously, came second in the Coral, proud to sponsor British Racing handicap on Coral Eclipse Day. Typically, I do like backing Jim. Obviously, I do the blog with him, but I haven't backed this horse. I missed the prices. He shortened into 12-1, I think, best price now. He was 16-1 not long ago, 10-1, in fact, now with Coral. The horse I had actually looked at and picked out was the same as the boys on to Victory, who's just been in really good form, both over the winter, actually, over hurdles. Great form. He's at form with Hookham, looks really strong. Alan King, just brilliant this week, hasn't he? And so everything points to a big run for him, but he's not been particularly well back. We're 9-1. You can get bigger elsewhere. And the other horse I like is Ade. I'm a fan of Simon and Ed Crisford. They obviously had the winner, Aswan, earlier in the week, the 2-year-old. But this horse dropped back in trip for the John Smith's Cup. Just was outpaced, really, staying on really eye-catching at the end. I just think, obviously, he's got to stay. And the ground, they probably doesn't want it too soft tomorrow. I thought Ade of the front few is the one that interests me most. But it's, again, a really competitive handicap. And I think it's the feature of tomorrow. It just looks, most of the races look horrendously competitive. And this is one of them.
Yeah, Ade is a 15-2 shot and was given no chance in that fairly slowly run John Smith's Cup. So, again, absolutely wide open. Quick rattle through the picks. In fact, we just need to ask Paul because Tom's gone for the same ones.
Yeah, exactly. On to Victory and Rhythmic Intent.
Okay, and Tom agrees entirely. I'll go for Prince Alex. And Simon?
Ade for me. I'll go for Ade.
Ade it is, following the Baid tactic of having as many vowels as possible. Over to Goodwood then for the 305 and the Langtree Stakes. Group 2 for the fillies and mares over 1 mile and 6 furlongs. And we get to see another potential superstar once again on the track in the shape of David Nuisier, still can't say his name, trained Wonderful Tonight here, who is 8-11 against their own sex. At 5-1 is Alba Flora. Believe in Love is 8-1 with Divinely at 9s, 14-1 Tribal Craft, 18-1 Cabaletta, 20s Golden Pass, 25s McAwee here. So it looks again, take out the favourite, and this would be an absolutely wide open, ultra competitive renewal of the Lily Langtree Stakes. But Tom obviously skipping a big engagement last weekend because the ground didn't come right. Wonderful Tonight should have conditions absolutely spot on. And we've talked time and time again about that Hardwick Stakes, and she was the one who took all the scalps that day.
Yeah, I can see the producers there giving it the whirly sign. Get on with it. So I will. Wonderful Tonight will win this, and we'll move on to the next race. She's miles better than me.
Okay, well, we'll see when we get to the 4:10 and the maiden whether how much time
20 minutes left.
Yeah, 20 minutes left, exactly that. Wonderful Tonight, 8 to 11 then. I mean, I've gone to the purist, and I was expecting more of a preview, Paul. So
yeah, I mean, this is the point, isn't it? I mean, she's got a £3 penalty for the hard whip, but she had Albaflora 6 lengths behind her there, and Albaflora never really travelled either. She hasn't looked anywhere near as good as she did when she won Ascot. If she was to return to that Ascot form, first time out this season when she won a listed race by 7 lengths, you'd think, well, she might bustle her up, but I don't, I think Wonderful Tonight's still got more in the locker. We know she stays. We know that every drop of rain is going to suit her. I thought 8 to 11. I think she'd be nearer 2s on at the off.
Okay. Is there anything? What is the concern here? Can anything get her beat? I mean, Albaflora could improve.
Not really. I mean, she travels, she stays, she likes the ground, she's got the class. I mean, she's officially £7 better than the others. I mean, they're talking about aiming her for the Arco, and she has to be beating these to even consider being sent over.
She's looked very good on a galloping track, Tom. Is there anything that could get a beat at the course?
I doubt it. I mean, she's just bad. I mean, no, I don't think so, Ross. I mean, the interesting one for me, just for future purposes, will be Divinely to see where Snowfall sort of a little bit fits in with these type of fillies, because she's been placed in a couple of Oakses, hasn't she? Or she's been in the frame in a couple of Oakses. It'll be interesting to see, but not convinced that the O'Brien horses are running that well. I was surprised to see Mogul taken out today, because they never take horses out. They've run Mogul on heavy ground hundreds of times, so to pull him out on soft ground, if that was the reason, surprised me. I wonder if there's something up there with the yard at the moment. I don't know. They haven't been running that well, as we said yesterday.
No, they haven't. Joan of Arc and Empress Josephine disappointing. Wordsworth. I mean, apart from Sir Lucan, it's been pretty dire for Ballydoyle. Just a quick word on a couple more. Believe in Love would be one who, apart from one poor run at York where she lost her action and lost her shoe, she's won every start over this trip, and she's got course form. It was an incredibly impressive win here last season.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, she's probably the one to follow. Wonderful Tonight home, actually. She was quite impressive last time at Leopardstown as well. She's got soft ground form as well, hasn't she? Been slamming Mondain by 10 lengths.
Yeah.
So, there's plenty to like about her. Good win record. She's consistent. I would say she's the one to follow the Fav home, but she's still got to make another big jump. I mean, official rating at 105 tells you that, £12 better at the moment. Wonderful Tonight is giving £3, giving her £3. So £9 to find, that's a lot in one jump. She might be capable of it, but I don't think so. She might be capable of beating the rest, though.
Yeah, and I will just give a shout. Like I said, we talked about Albaflora a little bit, but her she's got Park Hill winning relatives, and obviously, given the breeder, there's a lot of stamina in there, and she switched to the inside in the Hardwick, Tom, when Wonderful Tonight came down the outside, and as we've seen time and time again, soft ground at Ascot, round track, you don't want to be down that inside rail. No,
it's true, and as you guys have pointed out, she was really impressive at Ascot at the start. So I just think Wonderful Tonight actually has a chance of going close in the Arc. So if I think that on soft ground, then I think she's going to have to win this. Okay. And she will.
Simon, she is a very short price here, and she's been shortening up since the decks were made.
Yeah, I mean, she's 8 to 11. She was 45 a couple of hours ago. I think you can see punters backing her, as Paul suggested. It's quite hard to make a case against her. I like to believe in Love. I had a watch back of her run at Leopardstown, her run at St. Cloud, and she won them quite well. And you just got to throw that York race out, and the rest of her form looks progressive, doesn't it? And she had that. She was third behind Pista, who Wonderful Tonight beat quite well. So the form all suggests she's got plenty to find, clearly, with Wonderful Tonight. And I suppose the ground, I know you're talking, if there isn't that much rain between now and tomorrow, the ground could get sort of good to soft towards good. I mean, Wonderful Tonight does love a good bit of juice in the ground. I suppose that's the only chink maybe bookies might be hoping could be in her armour, but I think it's going to be hard to get her beat.
Yeah, very much so. Wonderful Tonight then, 8 to 11. She could well be winning this on the path to more Group 1 glory at the back end of the season. She's 8 to 11. Albaflora 5s, Believe in Love 8s, Divinely 9s, and 14 to 1 bar those. That's the Lily Langtree Stakes. Moving on then to the 340 at Goodwood, one of the toughest and best betting races of the year. It is, of course, the Stewards Cup. And this year we do have some very nicely progressive types, some young 4-year-old improving sprinters going head-to-head at the top of the market. And the favourites here is Hurricane Ivor at 6-1, Fresh at 7-1. Great Ambassador at 8. I was going to back that at 16s earlier on, and I'm regretting it now. 12-1 is Chill Chill. 14-1 Ostilio with Comanche Falls and Edge to Lob. 16-1 Atalanta's Boy. Few others to mention at bigger prices. Bielsa, Miras, Chief of Chiefs. Summergand, of course, who has won this race in the past. And Punchbowl Flyer and Motagali for Charlie Hills and Jim Crowley. This is wide open. Again, a big question of what they do, which rail they go to, and who comes out on top. But ignoring that, Paul, who do you think is the best sprinter here?
It's important, really, because the funny thing about this race, the funny thing about this race, apart from your Great Ambassador, who wasn't amongst the fancied runners this morning when I was looking at it, almost all the fancied runners from this morning's betting were drawn in the middle, and yet the pace is on either wing.
Yeah,
which is I just wonder, because one of the ones I've backed anti-post was Chief of Chiefs, but he's drawn 19 and he's a hold-up horse. Now, he's either going to find himself on a wing, not getting enough cover, or he's going to have to... I have a feeling they're going to split into two distinct groups, and he's going to have to try and work his way through when everyone's trying to get the same bit of ground. So I've sort of jumped off him. Hurricane Ivor, if the ground gets really soft, is that going to suit? He's been a non-runner due to soft ground. He's only been running over 5 furlongs. He's been well beaten on soft ground. So I wouldn't be in a mad rush for him. I think, Fresh has got a big shout. Your Great Ambassador, who obviously ran really well last time as well. He's got a big shout. That full blast time with Chill Chill is pretty good, I think. In a Group 3. So, but you probably missed the value there. I've backed 2. I've backed Major Jumbo. He's got stall 4. He goes forward. He was obviously a lot better than this. He's been placed in Group 2s and Group 3s, and 2 Group 3s last season, actually, when he was rated 107. Tumbled right down the handicap mark of 94 now. Looked like he was on the way back with third to Edge to Lab at Newcastle, and then his jockey just went way too fast. Ascot last time in the race, won by Bickerstaff. And was, he actually traded quite short because he looked like he had them all at it 3 furlongs out, but I mean, it just went way too fast for him. He's got Josephine Gordon on, which surprised me when I first saw it. But when I had a look, she's only ridden him once before, and that coincided with the biggest win of his life when he won a race at a big handicap at York in 2018 on soft ground. So hopefully she can do the business again. And the other one is Miras, who might not want the ground really, really soft, but I'm going to give him another go. He won the Scottish Stewards Cup last year, went off at 11-2 for this race, off a mark of 103. He's only run twice this season. He was close up third on his of 3 on his return, and then his jockey Andrew Breslin went off like a bullet out of a gun from a wide stall at Hamilton, trying to get across to the favoured stand rail, and there was no chance whatsoever sustaining that. Now he's only 4 off the rail in 24 now with Ryan Moore on, and he's not going to set a suicidal pace. I wouldn't have thought so. He's got a better chance, and if that stands rail is the place to be. He's got the pace to be on it first. So they would be my 2 against the field.
Yeah, like you said, 11-2 last year off a mark of 103, and here off 100 at 16-1 doesn't seem right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he looked a bit, last year he looked like he might have the potential to be a group performer.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't, wasn't badly, but he was only beaten 2 1/4 lengths off 103, finished 6th. Blew out after that, and he's gelded. He's obviously had his issues since. But he's only had 2 runs this season. He could have just been primed for this. Caveat would be, I think the trainer would much prefer the head fast ground.
Okay, couple then, one either side in the Stewards Cup for Paul Keeley. Tom Segal, how many darts do you need for the Brig Sprint tomorrow?
I've only had 1, and I've spoilt your fun, Ross, because my selection was Great Ambassador.
That's why. You could have told me, Tom. I would have backed it before you put it up. which was 16-1 about an hour and a half ago, and now it's 8-1, which is I'm very worried about ground for him. I worry if he'll run. Chill's come out while we've been speaking. Oh yeah,
because of the ground. I wonder whether Rafe Beckett Ed Walker, should I say, might end up pulling him out because he seems to think he wants fast ground. That I'm not convinced out. I thought he ran perfectly well, like you said when we did this Ascot show in the Britannia last year, over a mile on soft ground. I'm hoping they give him a shot. I know that he's been trained for the Stewards Cup and the Wokingham beforehand, and they think he's a very well handicapped horse. He's got a good record this year. We all know he's got two of the best sprinters in the country, hasn't he? Ed Walker came from the dark, and Starman, and I'm pretty sure this thing's working with those two. Well, he's obviously not beating them, but I think he's working with them, and I think he's the best handicapped horse in the race. I think the Chill form's really good. You've got to remember as well, that was a slowly run race, and it was the Guineas meeting, and he was the one that was on the alcohol-free side, on the Chindit side, in the Newmarket, and Chill came up the other side. He was definitely racing on the slower ground. If they allow him to run and the ground isn't too bad, I think he'll go really well, but I am worried about the soft ground. I do think Fresh has got a great chance as well, though. I think the ground is coming right for him. He beat All Bar Rohan, didn't he? Pretty comfortably in the Wokingham. There's not a trainer I like more in these big sprint handicaps than James Fanshawe, and they would be my two. It's not very original because they're at the head of the market, but I just think that they're unexposed, progressive horses against a whole load that you're hoping bounce back to their best. That's Keels' sort of style more than mine. He's very good at that. I really struggled trying to work out which horse is going to bounce back to their best. Loads of them obviously can. Your major jumbos and your Mirases, and as Keels, as I can't do that. I get them wrong every time I try and do that. They finish further behind when I tip those. I'm all in for the progressive horses. So boringly, I think Fresh and Great Ambassador are my two. And the more rain there is, the more I'd be on Fresh's side.
Yeah, there's a potential Fresh could be a kind of the Tin Man kind of improver.
Yeah, all those. I mean, going back as Zidane, there was a few going back. There's been loads
Beacon
going
Blues,
back.
Society Rock.
Yeah, there's loads just like that he's done over the years, and he could be one of those for sure.
Yeah, and I'm hoping Great Ambassador. I hope you're right about Great Ambassador. He caught the eye last time out in that race where it wasn't run to suit him, and the way he bolted up at Kempton in a race that's worked out well was very impressive. And like I said, that Calusi form from last year, soft ground over a mile, he was still in the mix a furlong to go. So, but the ground could be a worry. Will Buick, a very good booking though. Tom Williams says, Great Ambassador, been absolutely smashed in but won't like rain. That is potentially a fair point, Tom. We could end up getting to the end of the season with Great Ambassador, still waiting for him to exploit his handicap mark. And David Kellner, my ex-housemate, nice to hear from you, David, has got in touch to say, how many lumberjack shirts does Ross own? Well, I don't know, David, but you should. You used to iron them. There we go. I get more comments about my hair and my shirts on this show than anything else, which I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing. But either way, thanks for watching, Dave. It shows that you've got nothing better to do on a Friday night. The Stewards Cup then over at Goodwood. Simon, talk to us about this race. Of course, Great Ambassador has halved in price because of Tom's exploits. What else has been backed?
Yeah, I'm obviously paying 6 places on this, as you'd expect. I think it's an interesting race. I mean, 3 favourites have won in the last 6 years. In the last 10 years, 6 times the winner's gone off at a single-figure price, which when you think of the number of runners and the prices, sorry, my battery's going flat, is quite significant. It just shows it really does focus on the front end of the market, the improvers, the progressive horses. Funny thing is, actually, when I wrote that stat down, Great Ambassador was a double-figure price. The fact that he's been tipped up by Tom and is now a single-figure price, does that mean he has more chance because of that statistic? But I like him a lot. Obviously, Ed Walker's in great form, and he's got some terrific form to his name. He looks progressive. Hurricane Ivan looks rock solid. Bigger prices, Ostilio seemed to be a move just now, actually. So 20 to 1 into 14 with us. It's shorter elsewhere. There's usually a reason for that. Maybe it's a tipping line, or maybe it's stable confidence. It's Paul Midgley trained with Luke Morris on board, drawn 1. So that's been a sort of a late move. And also Dragon Safari, I think. Is that the name of the horse? I've just seen some money for that as well. And Motagali, Jim Crowley said this was going to be sent to the sales, and Charlie and him, almost pleaded not to because they believed he, had some potential, and he's shown some good form since. And Jim thinks he's not without a chance on that far side. He said that was the side he was on with Cardem, and he feels this horse is capable of running a big price and getting into the places. So great betting race. But I say the stats do say don't try and look for too hard for a big price winner because it often pays to focus on the front end of the market.
Well, in that case, thank you, Tom, for tipping Great Ambassador, who is a well-backed 8-1 shot. So fresh and Great Ambassador for Tom. Paul, your two were Miras.
And I've forgotten already. I've no idea.
It's been a long week, mate, hasn't it? It's been a long week.
It's been a very long week. I'm absolutely knackered.
Goodwood, glorious Goodwood.
Major Jumbo, that was it. Major Jumbo, that's the one.
Yeah. I feel like I'm trying to contact the spirit world. And Simon?
I'll go with Great Ambassador as well, and Montagani.
June then, you know. That was miles away.
No, it's fine. Sorry, just eight more minutes to go. Can you last?
I'll do my best.
You get through it. Okay, good. Let's carry on then with the last two, and we move on to a maiden here for the penultimate race of Glorious Goodwood, which has thrown up some very nice winners in the past. Whether we can pick the winner tomorrow remains to be seen, but look out for future horses here. Dutch Connection, Folkswood, DXB, Duke of Hazard, Persuasion. Some real quality animals have taken this maiden, but of course that is for future. For present, we have to try and find the winner on limited evidence. Kanjar, though, has been heavily backed into 9-4 favourite. Flying Secret 11-4, Diva's Boy 11-2, Ring of Bearer 7-1, Tartan Chief 15-2, 10-1 Holiday. I think Paul needs one. 11-1 Imperial Fighter, 16-1 bar those. Paul, I'll come to you first. This is going to throw up a nice horse in the future, but what wins tomorrow?
Yeah, well, there are only 3 horses with the entry in the Group 2 Champagne Stakes, and 2 of those are Flying Secret and Kanjar, who are 2nd and 4th at Ascot. Kanjar didn't get the clearest of runs. I don't think there'll be much between them. The other one of interest is Ring of Bearer for Richard Hughes. I don't know if you saw him after Calling the Wind, had his interview today. He just went on about how much he loved this place, particularly this festival. He's got this son of Wootton Bassett, who had a 120 RPR on soft ground as a 2-year-old when he won the Lagardère, and is now with Coolmore, who are hoping that he's going to turn into a star stallion. I think he started off at 4,000, he's now 100,000 a pop. And he's out of a Master Craftsman mare who didn't race, but again, Master Craftsman was a dual heavy ground winner, so it's a proper soft ground pedigree. And his mind Richard Hughes has booked Ryan Moore 15-2. I mean, it's telling me that he's a fairly good horse. And obviously, I think Ryan has ridden. It's Jamie Spencer that rides Brentford Hope. The owners.
Who bolted up by 5 lengths on debut, didn't he?
By 5 lengths on debut and loved soft ground, but obviously they're not related, so that doesn't matter. But it's an interest. It looks like a soft ground pedigree. He's got that group entry, so it must be pretty decent, and is more than twice the price of the other 2.
Okay, there we go. Ring of Bearer currently a 7-1 shot. Tom, again, this is one for the notebook. Do you have any angles in for the 4:10 tomorrow?
Apart from a little bit of experience being the key, no. I think the 2 that ran in that Ascot race will probably dominate. They're not brilliantly drawn, either of them, but I don't think in 2-year-old races it makes that much difference. I think, as we saw in the maiden over 7 furlongs on Wednesday, was it? Wilderness Girl won it, Thursday maybe. The experience was the key. It's very hard to win these races when you haven't had a run. But having said that, King of Bear is interesting. And Pat Dobbs, when he was interviewed after winning that race for Richard Hughes today, said Richard Hughes has got a stack of good 2-year-olds and we're going to have some fun before the end of the season with his 2-year-olds. So if King of Bearer is Ring of Bearer is one of them, then definitely he's a player. But I think it will go to experience. I slightly prefer Jim Crowley's horse. See what I did there, Si? Kanjar to win over Flying Secret.
Okay. Kanjar to win over Flying Secret. Then there's been money for Diva's Boy, as we go to at Simon for the market, which I think is very interesting because I do like pedigrees where there's a lot of debutant winners in them. The Dam won first time out. 2 of the at the Half Brothers won first time out. Another one finished second, beaten ahead first time out. So the fact that there is cash for Diva's Boy on debut is pretty significant, especially as the yard, like I said, won this with DXB, Simon.
Yeah, that's right. It's the only one for money outside of Kanjar, actually, Diva's Boy. So maybe that's worth a look each way on debut. But Jim was very clear in his blog, not stating the obvious a little bit. He said Kanjar's the best chance he's got tomorrow of a winner. He said he thought he'll improve actually for that Ascot run where he wasn't very lucky. He had no run. Finished 4th, would have been much closer, obviously. And the market seems to be speaking in his favour. The market priced up Flying Secret as favourite at around sort of 9-4, 5-2 mark with Kanjar at 3-1. We now see Kanjar clear 9-4 everywhere favourites and Flying Secret just drifting out a bit. So, yes, with my Jim Crowley hat on, I think Kanjar will win this race.
Absolutely. Jim Crawley hat has been getting a good old run out this week, Simon, that's for sure. That's the penultimate race of Glorious Goodwood 2021. Then let's go out on a bang with an apprentice handicap. 18 of them run this. If you thought you were getting bad luck in running this week, I can get the feeling that this is going to be another one of those races. Rebel Territory is favoured 11-2. Turntable 8s with You're Hired. 9-1 HMS President, Ebury and the Whipmaster. 10-1 Override. 11-1 Dingle and Bigger Prices are the rest. 18 runner handicap. Apprentices, obviously it pays to go with an experienced jockey in this kind of race. Who did you like in the final contest?
Right, yeah, I'm going to go with Andrew Baldwin, who's had a good week. He's got Calcutta Cup in here. I thought it was quite interesting. Making his return, first time out this season after being gelded back at this track. Last year, he ran in the 7 furlong nursery. He missed the break. He got battered coming out the stalls. He got battered coming round the bend again. He still did best of the horses being held up and finished 6th next time out. He won at Chester on easy ground quite easily. Raced only once more after that, ran 5th of 20 in a heavy ground, very, very valuable sales race, I think it was in France. Not been seen since. He's by territories, 18% strike rate on soft ground, same as No Nay Never, 19% on good to soft. So the pedigree definitely says he wants a bit of cut. Like I said, he's been gelded. He could be well treated off 84.
Okay, yeah, and we did well with the Baldwin stat earlier. Baldwin in apprentice races, 33 from 205, 16.5% strike rate, £16 level stake profit. I mean, obviously, he brings through a lot of talented apprentices. And in this race in particular, 1 win and 2 places from 3 runners. So he's got a few chances here. I do think Fox Premier looks a massive price on his old form at 25-1 and goes very well fresh as well. So Andrew Baldwin with Calcutta Cup, the pick for Paul. Tom, send us out with a winner. Final day, 5 days. We got there in the end of Glorious Goodwood.
Yeah, well, obviously this wasn't top of my list, this race, because it wasn't on the telly, but I did quite like Rebel Territory down the bottom. Reese Clutterbuck, the man who rode Trushan in the Northumberland Plate the other day for Amanda Perrott. Another one by Territory's Keel. So I'm hoping your stat about the soft ground will help him. I think Royal Scimitars by Territories as well. So maybe we're on to something with the Territories angle. I thought he ran really well last time at Ascot behind or something. I can't remember what it's called, but Nigel Tinkler's Horse. I thought he ran really well. Step up and trip won't be a problem. And just in front of him was Guru, who went on in that handicap at Ascot last weekend. So Rebel Territory was my fancy in the last.
Yeah, and just behind him even further was Echo Beach, who won last night at Newcastle in the Racing League. So 2 from 2, the runners who've come out of that race as well. So Rebel Territory is a well-backed 11-2 shot. Simon, it's been a long but glorious week. Send us out with some thoughts in the finale.
Well, I just thought I should mention a runner who ran on Coral Eclipse Day to end the card.
Absolutely. If it ain't broke, Simon, if it ain't broke.
Well, Fancy Believe. I had a chat with the guys in the office. They said in this race, apprentice handicap, look for the best apprentice. Marco Gianni rides Fancy Believe for Charlie Hills. It actually ran quite well in the Coral Challenge behind Maidani and Magical Morning. Beat 4 and a bit lengths. It's running off 89. It's 1 off 86. It's not terribly handicapped. And I just thought this extra furlong with a good apprentice on board, he looks each way value in a horrendously competitive race.
Yes, lovely stuff. This is, the last race is the getting out stakes, but if it's come to this point, maybe just go for a pint. Rebel Territory then 11-2 for the apprentice handicap to close out Glorious Goodwood. It's been quite the week. It's been a long week. It's been a day too long a week. I'll be honest with you. For Glorious Goodwood, we've had some cracking races, but what a 4-day festival it would make. But it's been a good week. You've had a few winners. Call in the Wind and Armour and Magical Wish from Paul Kinross. Ottoman Emperor, Nagano from Tom, and a few more. Trushan, of course, everyone liked that one. And Simon, even you tipped some winners, putting David Stevens to shame as well. So thanks for watching. We'll be back very shortly with York, but we can't go without getting the final day naps of Glorious Goodwood. So, Paul Keeley, what is the big bet on Saturday?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going first race again, so I can do it all
works,
back
it
in
works.
afterwards. But yeah, Master Zoffany in the 120.
Master Zoffany, it is in the 120. Tom?
Believe it or not, I think I've had 3 winning naps this week, which for me at Goodwood is completely unheard of. So while I'm buttering myself up, I'll try and think of another one. I'll go for Bickerstaff in the Stewards Cup Consolation.
Bickerstaff it is. OK, very well. And I will go for Prince Alex in that mile and 6 furlong handicap. I think he has got conditions absolutely ideal. Simon, which Sandown/Jim Crowley nap is it for the last day?
Listen, I'm going to go for the Jim Crowley's best chance, Kanjar. Is it Kanjar or Kandahar, whatever it's called, in the maiden. An original place to have a nap, a maiden.
No, absolutely, Kandar it is. Guys, thanks ever so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. This has been In the Know, Paul.
Yeah.
You remember? Mentally, Paul is in the pub rather than in the know, I think.
I am. I'm going to Goodwood tomorrow, so I'm geared up for it, so I'm not going mad tonight.
No,
Yeah, I know. I've got to do half your work tomorrow. Price-wise extra. Thanks, Keels.
Oh, thanks, mate. Lovely guy.
You've got to do it like Paul does it, though, and get up in the middle of the night to write out the copy. So there we go. Thanks, guys, for joining us. We'll be back for York, Simon, won't we?
We will indeed. This is great fun. I think this is really filling a nice hole in punter's time, the night before the big races. Come and listen to the Nats, a bit of fun, and hopefully back for you winners.
Yeah, there's been some lovely comments from the viewers as well. So hopefully this will continue. And again, as ever, thank you to our producers, in particular Dan Walsh, who's leaving tonight and has done a fantastically stellar job behind the scenes over the last couple of years at the Post, and we wish him all the best. So thank you to Dan for being just a top lad. Thanks. This has been In the Know. Please gamble responsibly. See you for York.